The Call Me Successful podcast, Connect series brought to you by Sell By Legal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very, very special guest with us today. We've got Vivien Yap, who's all the way in Gold Coast from Western Australia. Vivien, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for making time for us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Now, you've been leading the Western Australian real estate landscape for so long now, luxury homes, upmarket homes. But I want to know, where that journey began and how did you actually get into real estate?
How it really started is, I think, as a young pharmacist, when I started out, we were only just earning anywhere from $5 to $10 an hour.
Yeah, wow.
So there wasn't really any opportunities for us if we continue working as a pharmacist on an hourly basis. So you only have how many hours in a week? And you can do 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours, maybe 84 hours. That's what I was calculating. So I then looked at the landscape of real estate, and from the historical growth of the property market in Perth, I could see that there's potential there. So if I invested my money in there smartly, there's a potential for me to also grow my investments and hopefully have a good future, because I've always been very much of a businesswoman. Always said to myself, if I'm a pharmacist, I will not be an employed staff for too long. There will be probably 2 to 3 years I do want to own my own business. And that's how it all started. So I purchased my first property when it was back in the 1990s. It was cheap back then, relatively cheap. And you could see the property prices doubling, tripling, quadrupling. That was really the only way, for us to invest smartly. And I just thought that's the next thing I know apart from pharmacy.
So you didn't end up owning a pharmacy?
I did. I worked for a year and a half and decided I'm not going to work over 100 hours a week, because I was working 48 hours in 4 days, because I knew I could do 12 hours per day, 4 days 4 days is my full-time job. The other 3 days I'd be locuming. So as a locum pharmacist, I would do between 8 to 14 hours a day. So my week is filled 7 days a week. So when I realized I was working so hard in this full-time job, I said to my boss at the time, I said, I'm going to give you 1 year's notice. I will probably go out of, being employed by you and buy my own pharmacy one day. And he said to me, no way, you are not leaving this job. Nobody else is going to work the hours that you're doing, because I was really a workaholic. And the only reason I was also a workaholic is because socially that was my outlet, because my parents were very strict. I wasn't allowed to go to parties and socialize or have sleepovers with my girlfriends. And we just came from a very Chinese or very traditional Chinese family. So work was an outlet for me anyway, socially. So what I really said to my boss at the time is, look, I'll give you 1 year's notice and I will definitely grow your pharmacy like I have. And I was growing the pharmacy year after year, and they were doing very well. So I said to them, as long as you give me time, I will definitely, continue to work for you. If it means that it's 6 months or a year, but I'll give you plenty of notice. They said, no chance. You will work for me and I will guarantee you in this purchase. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'll give you equal share and we'll guarantee you. So that's how it all happened. I then paid for the stamp duty for the purchase, but I didn't have any money at all. No money. So I spent it all on property. So
what's a good thing to spend it on?
So he said $1 million is what I want. So at that time, there's 2 business partners and I would be coming in as a third. A lot of backlash from one of the 2 business owner, but the older business partner, who is the one who had the money, his name's Peter Oliver. He's amazing. He's given me that break into being a business owner. He guaranteed me $1 million for 1/3 share at the age of 22. We discussed the deal. 23, I became an owner of the one pharmacy. Progressively, 4 years later, we discussed about another purchase. So we acquired a second pharmacy in the same shopping centre. And it was good because essentially you're monopolizing the entire shopping centre's, pharmacy trade. That's how I stumbled upon being a business owner. I had I had a chance provided to me.
So you learned the business life cycle so early on, even without the real estate. You was 2 businesses by 27 years old.
Yeah, it was early, but I learned a lot of this from my dad because my dad also owned his own business and, in fact, multiple businesses. And he's always been in the civil engineering industry, property development industry in Malaysia as well. And I've seen how hard he worked. And he had over 1,500 workers who did all the road works. And I saw
He
how
had
hard he
over
worked.
1,500 workers
Yeah.
underneath him.
Yeah, literally
Wow.
every single road back in the mid-1980s or early 1980s, every single road in Kuala Lumpur was resurfaced by my dad's company.
Yeah, wow.
So I saw him work, beyond 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I'll be climbing up on his steam rollers. I'll be helping him with the tenders of the businesses. And I remember I was only 13, 14, still helping him. And I was in his office at the age of 11, 12 years old, answering phones and filling out invoice bills, for his receptionist. So I always worked for, I suppose, for what I believe in, which is working for my dad, working for yourself, creating your own destiny. Don't let anybody control your future. And that's what I wanted to do. And that was always sort of in my brain.
So 27, you decide to sell out of the pharmacies?
No, I continued working and ran the businesses until it would have been 2010, 2011. So I decided to sell the businesses in 2010 and did my real estate course very shortly after. I did have a little stint in doing Thermomix as well because my dad's very good friend was the owner of Thermomix. And my husband always said to me, do not buy another kitchen appliance. You have every kitchen appliance known to man. When do you ever have time to use them? But I loved cooking. I loved baking. So I would have everything there and but just not use it because I always have this inkling feeling that one day I'll have time, to do a lot more cooking. And I said, no, I'm going to prove it to you. So a very, very good chef of mine had, I think, 2 or 3 Thermomixes in his restaurant. So I want to cook like a chef, it's going to save me time. I say, no, you shouldn't buy another one. It's going to just
How much was it back then, a Thermomix?
$1,800.
$1,800.
Yeah.
So it's similar to what it is now.
That's right. So I did do it to sort of show my husband, I can sell a Thermomix and I'll earn my own Thermomix. And then within, I'd say, a month and a half, I was the number 1 Thermomix consultant who sold the most. And I earned my own Thermomix proudly. And then I was covering for the regional manager for Thermomix while they were attending a conference. And that's when I thought, wow, okay, I can sell anything. So that's how I got told my husband, please do not sell Thermomix. You should be selling real estate. Because I was coming home at 11:30 at night after a long day at the pharmacy as well, which sometimes I finish at 6 or 7 or 8. And then I'll quickly run to a friend's house and do a quick demo. 1.5 hours, I would, produce 6 dishes and then you'll put the orders for 6 Thermomixes and then you've still got to deliver it in between working in a pharmacy and working as a Thermomix consultant.
So you've sort of reached the top of the field in 3 different industries.
Yeah, I've done everything.
Yeah.
I was a waitress as well. I was working as a waitress at
During the pharmacy time?
during the pharmacy times and also as I graduated and was doing my 2,000 hours in order to register as a pharmacist, I was still working there at the casino. And that was really just waitressing in the convention center, working at the Hotman Cub, working at the balls, weddings and shows. And just trying to mix everything together at once. And the moment I finished my pharmacy job at 5:30, I'll quickly drive over to the casino, get changed by 6, so 15 minutes. We do the briefing and off you go serving the food, or you go to work in the international room where all the high rollers are there. I'll finish work at 12 or 1 a.m. and back into, changing and working as a pharmacist again. It's just very short. You don't really get to sleep very much. When you're young, you can do it, but
You can do it.
as
I
we get
feel
older,
like you do it still. But we haven't even talked about real estate. We talked about all these careers that you've fostered, dominated. So you have no fear factor then at that point saying, I'm just going to go deep dive into real estate.
well, I felt that I had nothing to lose because what really happened is I did tell my mum and dad to say, look, I've sold my pharmacies now. I definitely want to do a little bit, of real estate. By that stage, I was also teaching at UWA, which is the University of WA.
So you were teaching as well.
I was
This
teaching.
is the sixth job.
Yeah.
Like how many tax things did you have to fill out? Like it's like
There was one year my tax accountant did go through me and said, Vivien, how many jobs have you done this year? And there were 20. I remember, I think 29
29 different
group
roles.
certificates.
29 group certificates.
Yeah, but they range from not just, different jobs. It was literally, I was a locum. So people loved me as a locum chemist because I would always say yes. So if a pharmacist just says, I can't work on a Sunday or a Monday or a public holiday, I'll be the first one to say, yep, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm a yes girl. So when that happens, you get known to be always helpful. And I can just walk into a pharmacy. I'll know exactly how to run it. It's very easy because it's methodical and process driven. So I would also run the pharmacy with ensuring that they've got companion selling in place as well and rev up the girls. So they love it. Every time I go there for a day, they go, oh, what have you done? You've restructured this and you've just sold more vitamins than anybody else and you've sold a lot more products, for the beauty sector. So it's fun for me anyway. But I was also doing body piercing.
Wow. Is there anything that you can't do? Let's talk about things that you can't do.
It was really just to make sure we made ends meet because back then I had a $1 million loan. And I remember back then I must come up with $24,000 to pay my loan off.
Every month.
That's every month. And that's a lot of money for a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I just remember I have to earn more than that because that's tax-free money that I need to be able to pay my loan. So I suppose it was stress as well, but I knew that I had to keep working, earn lots of money, make sure I always have a buffer.
So this stage, you married, you got kids at that stage, no?
Well, I was still single, but I was engaged for years. My husband just kept going, when are you getting married?
I don't have time. I have 29 jobs. Just give me a couple more years. Yeah.
I worked further and further away because the pay was better.
Yeah.
When you're working an hour away or an hour and a half away because it's hard to get pharmacists who's prepared to drive an hour and a half back and forth as well. So yeah, I was not married back then, but I was engaged and I was working probably 7 days a week.
Yeah, wow.
14 hours a day.
So how much did this help you when you got into real estate, especially the relationships? You built a role of relationships in all the roles, obviously with clients, with businesses, selling Thermomix. How much did that help you when you started selling, or it didn't help you at all?
Oh, it helped me a lot because I think I knew how to build rapport very quickly. So as a pharmacist, somebody will come into my pharmacy and then I would definitely have to understand what the medications are, what are the symptoms, any contraindications, and how can I help them or how do I treat them? So within a 30-second questioning process, within a minute, you need to at least have some form of a diagnosis and work out what you can do to help. So obviously, real estate, same thing. You just need to go through the process. You need to find out exactly what they're looking for. Are they looking to buy? Are they looking to sell? So there is a lot of correlation there purely because every person you help as a vendor or as a buyer, you are helping them to the next chapter of their life. So, and when you're selling, you're not really selling, you're really helping them. And that's how I look at it. You're giving them advice. You're not expecting anything in return. But if people love your advice and appreciate you giving them your time, and time is free for me because I'm not getting paid by the hour. So you're getting your client to love you before you even establish that business relationship. If they love you, they're going to want to use your services. And that's how I've always attracted the clients this way.
So how did you get your first house to sell? What was your first client like? Where would they?
How did it happen?
Is it from Dalkeith? Is it a different
No, it
marketplace?
wasn't totally. It's so random because I always spend my Sunday afternoon with my family, and we always have some mutual family friends of friends who will just always hang out together. And it seems to happen that every Sunday we hang out at one friend's house and we're just chatting. It's usually after church or after brunch or something like that. And then he just said to me, Vivien, you sell your pharmacies. You know a lot of properties. You own quite a few properties in the suburbs. So do you want to sell my property? I was like, what do you mean? And I said, well, if you think I should be selling your property, I'll do the course. Definitely I'll do the course.
Oh, so you got the lead before you even
Yeah.
So everything was just you did the opposite way.
The opposite way.
Yeah.
But it was purely because I did own 2 houses in that area. And he just said, look, I've just spoken to an agent and they think my house is worth 825,000. Do you think my house is worth 825,000? So I think your house is worth a lot more than that. I just don't know how much more. I think it's worth at least 900. I think there's a 9 in front. He said, okay, go do the course.
So you're already talking like an agent before you're an agent.
Well, because I own a property
So you know the
in
lingo.
that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was always looking at houses every weekend. I would have already been through about 500 houses by that time. And I just loved spending time when I have time. And it's very hard because I'm working 7 days a week. So it's quite difficult. But then when I have that little opportunity, when I don't have a locum job on a Sunday or a Saturday, I would just be jumping in and out of homes or clicking away on realestate.com or Domain. I mean, whatever it is, consistently, I'm just hunting. However, what then happened is I did the course, I took the job, but I didn't have a placement where I should work. So I quickly just called one of the local agencies and said, look, it would be great if I can have a job because I already have a lead. And employed me immediately. I took my licensee at the time to the listing appointment, but I listed it immediately. And from there on, I sold the property for more than 825. It went for, I think, 925 or 950 within a 3-week period. And then next door was his business partner. He said, wow, you got 925. I want to sell too. I was like, oh, yours has a little city view. I think yours is worth more than 9. I think there's a 1 in front. And then I ended up selling for a record price, well over $1 million. And then I picked up another listing, which is my 3rd listing in the same suburb. And the 4th listing, I thought, wow, this is better than working as a pharmacist. So I was still working as a pharmacist as well as tutoring at the university and lecturing as well while I was doing part-time real estate.
So you still had multiple jobs.
Yeah, multiple jobs. And from there, I continued on working as a part-time real estate agent, but I was really putting already 40, 50 hours in real estate, which is essentially someone else's full-time job, although to me that was part-time. So I was doing a lot more than anybody else. And I thought I could turn it into a full-time job. And that's how I stumbled upon real estate.
Yeah, wow. What a journey.
Yeah, it's good fun though.
Great fun. And then how did you get into the Dalkeith Claremont market?
Well, I went to school close by. I went to school near Dalkeith, and a lot of family and friends were living there. So I looked at the analogy of selling properties that's in the $800,000 mark versus 1 million to 1.5, 2 million, 3 million. So when I did that, I realized that you still put in the same amount of time, energy, and the price point of each property is also relevant to the amount of commission that we're earning as well. And we want to give, really good service. And that's how it really all translated to, I suppose I looked at the spreadsheet. If I sell 52 properties and they're $3 million versus a $1 million property, how does that actually work back into a profit? So when I started, I thought, that's what I'm going to do. So immediately I had a PA who knew more than I did. And I was navigating through real estate blindly. I didn't get too much help. I was just learning. And it was kind of immersing yourself in real estate as if I was a seller. And what would I look for if I was selling my property? And what would be the things I would not like to see as a real estate agent when I'm employing a real estate agent. So I want to make sure that, yeah, you reverse all the negative points that people see in a real estate agent. So I just jumped straight into the high end as quickly as I possibly could.
And you're applying as an agent, you're already thinking like a business owner, which most agents are not capable of doing. Where you're going through the stats, looking at commission rates, where you're going to sell. So you went on to dominate. That's Alger Hook at the time? Or
No, I was working for a company. The agency name or franchise name was called Realmark at the time.
right, okay.
But I was there for a very short time because they didn't dominate in the blue chip areas of Dalkeith, Netherlands, Claremont at that time. So then I moved on to another company, of course, which they did dominate back then as well. And they've now been converted to Acton Bell right now. But immediately after that, within 2.5 years, I decided, I need to run my own business. I wanted to have my own culture and I wanted to have my own control of what we can and can't do. So, of course, out of the blue, I decided, okay, I need to join a national franchise, not a boutique agency. I want to do it differently. Everyone did say to me, it's going to fail. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I thought, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, I can sell Thermomix. You can do anything.
Can do anything.
Yeah.
I'm game for anything. But it was really that, that push came to sort of like little shelf, and it was just a pushing me that I needed to try it. So I joined a national franchise for a very short time, but then they did shut down the LJ Hooker corporate shutdown in WA. So I had the opportunity to, I suppose, decide my new fate, and Ray White was at my doorstep, continually assisting me with anything I needed. And I think they were my next natural transition. And Ray White ever since.
So you dominated Alger Hooker. You're the number one agent, dominating at Ray White.
Not dominating Ray White,
Well,
just
come
doing.
on. You are. You've been dominating for so long.
And just
Yeah.
a little bit above, the
just
rich.
just a little bit above him, just a little.
I love to do better. I mean, I don't believe I'm, excellent at what I do, but it's always that strive for excellent. And there's no perfection, but we would love to eventually get there.
Well, one thing that I've noticed is that you've dominated. I'm going to say that word. You dominated as an agent, and then the last 2-3 years, you've said, "Okay, I'm going to build a bigger team. I'm going to get more agents." Now, people underneath you, all of a sudden, are writing over 2 mil. You've got so many chairmans, leads, agents. Your whole team is thriving, and now you've added property manager as well. It's just the thought process that you go through that. Look, now I just want to make this bigger and better in other respects.
Yes, and I think things change when you're 30.
Yeah.
And your life will evolve to a different stage of your life. You think, okay, I'm 40 now. And then what am I going to do now? I'm 50 now. I'm now well beyond my 50s. And I'm really planning that next stage. And who can I help now? Because I've seen how I struggled and I didn't really get too much help when I was in real estate. And it was not an easy path for many. And what I wanted to do is when I set out to start my own real estate agency, I was still, honestly, so green. I was third year into real estate, no idea what I was doing, but I was constantly just getting a lot of help. And when you join a national franchise, we actually are able to help each other. And that's what I find in Ray White. We are always consistently supporting each other. If we stumble upon a problem or an issue, I know I can pick up the phone, ring up anybody, and they'll be willing to help me. And that's what I love about Ray White. What then propelled me to make a change in not just being a solo agent and create a team around me is I feel I will also not only be able to support them, they're supporting me. I think I feel more privileged that I have them as a team member than the other way. So a lot of people think, oh wow, it's not that. I think I'm more thankful than anything, anyone else, out there. A lot of people think, oh, you're an agent and you're so good, or it's not like that. Without the support or the people around you, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that's why I think the people who have started the journey with me from ground zero, to see them rise up, to do elite and then chairman's elite, and then now they've got their teams, their team members is not just one, there's now 2 team members and 3. So there's now 4 of them. It's really, really a fulfilling, I don't know, journey for me. And then I'd like to see their kids do the same. So I've got my son now in my business. I've got another agent, Emma Milner, the son's now in the business. So we're seeing the growth, and another agent of mine, Dean Bradley, the son is in the business too. So we're seeing a really good growth. And when they love what they do, they bring their family into
Yeah, it's amazing. I've
the
noticed that.
business.
Yeah.
So it's like a family business, and we want everyone to do well. We're never, getting anyone down. We lifting each other, elevating each other all the time. And we're sad when they're sad. When they're happy, we're ecstatic. So it's just a really good culture to have.
Speaking of good culture, Ray White Connect.
Mm.
I'll let you go shortly. 2 last questions. 4,000 people,
Mhm.
great, biggest conference in Australia.
Yes.
What's one thing that sort of came to mind you took away from it that I need to change, or this is what I need to work on? Is there something that stood out to you in the last 2 days? Because there was a lot of great people talking.
Yeah, I loved the piece that Dr. Boris Groysberg brought in, where he brought in the graph and he said, you can fight, but be united. And we do this a lot. And that's where you can really grow, and the right people are around you. What we do a lot at work is, yes, we have the greatest debates, but we are all united, knowing what our goal is meant to be. And I think that's why our foundation is solid, and we're finally on a really good trajectory to grow.
That's beautiful. So last question, what does success look like to Vivien Yap?
Success to me will be, that's a hard one. Success to me is when I have inner peace.
You sound like you have inner peace at the moment, though.
Well, I do, because I've got a really good team, and I've got a really good family life, and I've got the most supportive husband who'll let me do whatever I want. Even when I had an offer on my own home, I didn't tell him I decided to sell the home, and yet he supported me. I had the offer in my phone, and I didn't even show him for 3 hours. I was still just processing, am I selling the home? But I've already decided I'm selling the home. But then I needed him to own that decision. But yeah,
That's
he let me
amazing.
sell the home.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing some time with us and sharing your journey with us as well. Everything you do is so much style and grace, and we love watching you grow and you dominate humbly. And thanks for inspiring so many out there.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Vivien. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.